Hey, Jay. Jason. Jay.
Show me that one. Show me that one, and I told Caitlin to let her know that we're sort of stuck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just want to test the audio. And then my presentation, now it's not looping.
it's live. Go to your door shut.
Oh, it just went. Did I do like a minute something? I'm going to go use the restroom real quick.
Hello, Tony. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tony? Oh, could you hear me? I was like, and you were on. Okay, good. But when you get on there, let's test. We got a couple people in the waiting room. But yeah, slides are good.
No, if the slide won't run if it's not on top. Jason?
Yep, I can hear you. How's my volume?
Good. You're pretty loud for me. I don't know if that's
All right, how's that?
I think you're good. And the
Okay.
slideshow is running.
Yep, slideshow's running.
And you just see just what you're supposed to see.
Yep.
All right, I'll start letting people in.
Okay, I'm gonna mute.
Hello, welcome everybody. RSO Leadership Orientation. Could I get some yays or nays for the audio quality? Can everybody hear me? Yay, thank you. Appreciate the participation. And I'll switch the tab, the window to this one. If you haven't already introduced yourself, please do. More interaction, the better. I am genuinely interested in getting to know each one of you, each of your RSOs, all of your goals, and any way that I can help you guys. So if you take a few moments, please let me know if you have any questions. Please actually direct message it to me. I'll be keeping my eye on the chat, but I won't be able to, if the chat's going by very quickly, I might miss your question. So if you have any questions, please message myself or Jason Shanemeyer, and we should be able to assist you. But I'll pause it here. So welcome to the RSO Leadership Orientation. Like it says, we're starting a few moments late. We do have some stragglers still coming in. Number one question I'm asked is, who's supposed to attend this sort of thing? It's mandatory for at least one student from every student organization to attend, but I do encourage all current executive board members attend, and we'll go a little more in depth in that. Attendance today, I'm not keeping total track of who's here in the chat here and marking attendance that way. We're actually doing attendance through an Office 365 form. It's a RSO Leadership Orientation Quiz. So if you've been keeping track, you should see this quiz right here populate. If you use the QR code, it should take you to the quiz. And if you're really smart and you've done this before, maybe you could pop through the quiz real fast and sit back and really enjoy the orientation. But I do ask you guys to watch the entire orientation, as the orientation quiz is mandatory. There will be some smaller pieces of new information. So if you have attended the orientation in the past, there will be some new information. So don't assume just because you did it last year that there won't be anything new, because every single year there's something new. Let me go back a few screens. So there's the leadership orientation quiz. There's the QR code. And I can also, here, let's see here. I have the direct link I can put into the chat. One moment, please. Link. There's the link right in chat. So if you have trouble with QR code, that's an option for you as well. RSO re-registration. So every single year we require our student organizations to re-register, and it's really just a pulse check just to make sure you're still active. So if you visit your RSO's Action Center and you see that blue bar there saying you're eligible for re-registration, that means that we are still waiting for you to say, yes, our RSO is active. And we're just asking you to make sure all the information that's listed there is active, especially the roster. The roster is probably the most important part of the re-registration. We need updated contacts for who's going to be active within your student organization. Those are the people that I'm contacting for all the updates. So make sure your roster is up to date. Cards Party. Cards Party is back this year, sort of. We're not going to go full-fledged like we have years past. We won't be inviting local businesses and nonprofits on campus this year. We will do pre-packing bags like we did just this last year. But for RSOs, offices, departments, it's full-fledged in the President's Courtyard. So if you're interested in participating, there will be a limit of 50 tables because we have to book them from an outside vendor, and there's only so much space out in the President's Courtyard. So the first 50 RSOs, which is a benefit for you guys watching this live, is that you actually get the registration link first. So a little benefit for you. Please introduce yourself and the staff of the Office of Student Life. So Jason, do you want to introduce yourself and the staff?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Shanemeyer, Associate Dean for Student Life, and I oversee all of student life operations as well as fraternity and sorority life. As some of you may know, Lindsay Deaver was married and moved out of state last year, and that position is not being filled at this time. So I'll be serving in that capacity, as well as Haley Charbonneau, who is our new, only as a couple weeks ago, our new graduate assistant for student life. Her main responsibilities is really leadership focused, but we're going to have her working on a lot of different projects. Right now, she's assisting with the ladies' women's sorority recruitment. And then from there, going on to family weekend and a lot of different things. Then from left to right, I should be going. Kathleen Shintaka Kubzak. She is our administrative secretary up front. And you'll be hearing from her. We have a video instruction from her. And of course, Tony oversees all of our RSOs and is overseeing our alternative breaks program this year. And then Jeremy Flood is overseeing our program board, Valley Nights, and then also getting into our digital gaming, which is the addition we have here with the E-Center for Esports in our area. Oh, Tony, you're muted.
Thank you, Jason. I totally forgot to turn on my video, so thank you for that. So that should do it for the basic introductions. I am now going to pitch it to Marie Rabideau, our interim dean of students. So if you give me one moment, please. Do that.
Welcome back to Cardinal Country. My name is Marie.
Oh, I probably forgot to turn on the sound. Hold on one moment.
Welcome back to Cardinal Country. My name is Marie Rabideau. I'm the interim dean for student affairs here at SVSU. Today, you will be reviewing some very important information for your clubs and organization. I ask that you please give your full attention to the presenters. Your experiences here at SVSU will be useful to you in your future careers. Some of those few valuable skills you will learn is teamwork, leadership, organization, hard work, and networking. You also will bring change to yourself and to the university. And that is a quote from Barack. Never stop believing in the power of your ideas, your imagination, your hard work to change the world. I hope your leadership will bring good things to you and the university. I look forward to working with you and your organizations. I encourage you to reach out to me and invite me to a meeting so I can meet you in person and you can meet me in person. I can be reached at my email, rabideau@svsu.edu.
All right. Thank you, Marie. I'll now give Jason permissions so he can start sharing things. Jason, I think you could just steal it from me.
I think I did, didn't I?
Nice. That works.
Did that work? Okay,
Yep.
You can see it, Tony?
Yep. And one note, I did see a question in the chat about cards parties. So there was a registration form that did go out in like July-ish as for the registration. That was set up in case in the instance that was going to be large scale, was going to be the O'Neill Arena like a few years ago. There is a brand new one that's just went live. So it was during this, and I'll be able to share it again at the end. So if you haven't registered for Cards Party, you can do it today, or I'll also be including it in the RSO updates for this month.
All right, so quick welcome from me and a couple notes before we pass it back over to Tony. And I always like to start with our office mission. So this is a mission statement that students helped us develop. And the Student Life Center will foster an environment in which students feel comfortable and respected as they explore and advance in the areas of engagement, leadership, diversity, and service. So if you know our three pillars, lead, serve, connect, that's where we really is our bread and butter in there. And clubs, RSOs are the heart of that. As Tony said, we went through our staff, but there's a couple other organizations that are advised by our department. So those are Program Board, Valley Nights, and Alternative Breaks are right out of our office, as well as the Fraternity and Sorority Life program. I did want to plug Alternative Breaks. We are having an info night coming up, so shameless plug there for ours. And then one other update before I get into the other things is homecoming. Some of you might be looking for homecoming packets. Well, we've kind of held off wondering what was going to happen with COVID and such. So end of the week, we'll have those packets out for competitions. They're going to be a little bit different. We won't have as many events, but we'll have plenty to be part of. We'll have a physical type event, a knowledge-based trivia, performance-based type style. We're going to have service. So it's going to be really great. We got a lot of good things planned for you. And then on the other side of it, I know that a lot of our RSOs have people run for court. So we're changing. The court will be how it's going to be set up is going to be changed this year. We're going to non-gender specific positions. So there will still be 10 students that are selected for the court. And that'll go through an interview process and also voting to get on the court. And then the finalists will be 3 royalty that will be announced at the game. Like I said, non-gender specific. Anybody can go for it as long as you're an upper class. So if you have 62 credits and a GPA of 2.75 or higher, you'd be eligible to go out for court. But that packet will be coming out later in the week for you. All right, COVID updates. We wouldn't be able to get through one without COVID updates, so we might as well start here. Always follow the NEST guidelines, that QR code's for the NEST, but honestly, if you go on to SVSU and just type in NEST, you're going to come to that main page, and they're always listing the most current guidelines from our NEST group there. And right now, for sure, it's masks indoors meetings and activities for sure. You don't have to have masks on outside. So if you are having a meeting or a student group meeting or whatever it might be, and it's indoors, whether it's in the TSAR or program room, you have to have masks on, which leads me into this next section. If you remember last year, we had some restrictions with like having advisors present and such. For your regular meetings of your members, your advisors not required right now. So if you have your regular weekly meetings and it's just your members, if you have something special, like a smaller event, it's just your members, you don't need your advisor. But if you do have an event open to the SVSU community, you will need to have an advisor there present, because it's more than just your membership. It's the rest of the student body that are not part of clubs and whatever, and they need to be, the advisor would be responsible for that. One thing to note that's really important that you can share with your advisor. So say you have an event coming up in a week or so, and you got, we're going to have the SVSU community coming to it, and you let your advisor know and they're not able to go, they can certainly have a proxy. That's somebody that steps in their place. They have to be a staff or faculty at SVSU, or otherwise they sign the internal form, because some people do, or some groups do have off-campus advisors as well as their on-campus advisor. But we could go through that process with a sign-off for them to be proxy. So meetings is normal, but when you have larger events where the SVSU community is welcome, you have to have an advisor. Violations of any of the NEST guidelines at all. So say you're having a meeting and you're in the program room and nobody's wearing masks, and it gets reported, and we have to follow up on it. We are using the Office of Conduct to enforce those, just as we always have last year with COVID restrictions and such. So know that if you're inside, let's just honestly, what I learned last year was clubs, RSOs were awesome at following the guidelines. Like, our students are pretty amazing. So even though we were checking you in and everything, everybody was just really, really happy to just be meeting and getting together, and didn't have any problem with wearing the masks. My thing is, if we can wear masks and do all the things we normally do, let's do that. And let's not go heavier than that, like room restrictions and things. But all that's possible depending on how, if COVID got really bad in our region. So the last piece I have before I turn over Tony is Cork, the Cork app. So Cork, C-O-R-Q, if you go into your app store, you'll be able to find it. And it is something that we had every single freshman download, and it's being used a lot. It's pretty great. Once you put an event in SVSU Engage and it gets approved, it shows in Cork as long as you made it public. And This has been absolutely awesome. The thing that I will say, there's some tips that we've learned. If you're putting an event in, make sure you put now in Engage, make sure you put your RSO name too, because it just can say weekly meeting. Well, that's not very enticing, but if it's like weekly meeting with the widget club, and they're like, oh, I love widgets. So then they're going to check that meeting out. So make sure you start putting your RSO name in with whatever the name of the event is. That'll help. Certainly have a good description because that carries over. So if they're a little bit interested, they go in and say, oh, a widget club is meeting, and they check out what's a widget, and they get to see the description about what a widget is. And also you can add co-hosts. This is pretty cool because if you add, say you have two groups, and I'm going to use Valley Nights and Program Board, and Program Board is running it, but they're also have Valley Nights helping out. Have just Program Board put it in and then have Valley Nights put as a co-host. It'll show up in both their pages, but it'll only show up once on this app, which is better than having it up there a couple times. Just looks a little screwy. So Cork is here. It's pretty awesome. It's how we're checking people in. There's so much more that can come along with this. We'll probably do some kind of a training, video training on this in the next month or so, just so that RSOs can start to harness the power behind it. All right, go back to the main screen, Tony, and I'm going to pass it over to you. I think you're muted, Tony. There you go. I think you're muted, Tony. Or maybe I'm the only one that can't hear you. Yeah, for some reason, Tony, we're unable to hear you. Maybe you changed your setting when you did the video. Yep, we'll see. Get Tony. Nope. So while Tony's fixing that, I have to tell you all that Tony's biggest worry was technology, because last year we had internet connection problems. So he,
How about now?
I got you there, Tony.
Oh, yeah, there's a dongle on here. Yeah.
Yep.
Go
So
figure.
Tony triple checked everything but your mute button on your dongle. There you go.
Well,
All right.
it's not even the mute button. I turned my mic sound down. So so hopefully everybody can hear me, and I'm probably really loud right now.
You are very loud now.
Thank you. I'll turn myself down. Okay. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us and dealing with these issues. So thank you, Jason, for your COVID update. We'll be sending more details with the current restrictions on COVID and everything we're covering today we'll be sending it out through the RSO updates email. But now I'm actually going to pitch it to myself. Weirdly, we did some pre-recording sessions to make sure that technology wasn't hopefully an issue, and unfortunately it still always will forever be an issue. So I'm going to share the screen to this video. Let's see here. Can everybody hear it? We good? Let me see chat. You can hear me. Can you hear digital me? Hopefully so. And yeah, I'll just hit play. My name is Tony Cianciolo. I'm Assistant Dean here at Saginaw Valley State University. And today I'm going to be covering the basics of being a registered student organization here at SVSU. Before we begin, I have some housekeeping items to cover. I am often asked who should be attending the RSO orientation, and my recommendation is for all the executive board members should be attending. We require at least one member of your RSO to complete the requirements, but the more people in the room that know the answers to this essential information, the more successful your organization is going to be. If there's only one person in the room that knows the following information, your RSO is going to run into a lot of unnecessary hurdles for your RSO completing even the most basic tasks. Which leads me to the next point. I strongly recommend you share what you learned today with all your members. They might not need the information today, but they are potentially the next wave of executive board members for your organization. And your organization depends on them knowing how to run a student organization. So I highly encourage not only have your executive board watching this, but also share this information with your members. Next, attendance is being tracked using an Office 365 form. So watch the full orientation is great, but to get credit, you need to have at least one member of your organization to complete the quiz with 100% prior to Sunday, September 12th. Here is a QR code for the quiz. If you're watching live, you'll also see that in the chat. In addition to having a member attend the orientation, completing the quiz, all RSOs are also required to re-register their organization once a year. It is simply a pulse check just to make sure your organization is still active, and that is also due September 12th. Now moving on to the actual orientation. So these are the 7 keys to success for our student organizations. I've been doing this presentation for a number of years, and every year I change and add things or remove other things, but really I have it boiled down. These are the 7 things every student organization needs in order to be successful. The first one is determine your destination. What are your goals for the organization? What do you want to accomplish? Number 2 is recognizing and utilizing your resources. We provide a lot of resources for our student organizations, but we want to help you recognize them and be able to utilize them better. Number 3 is building on your success year after year. So there's always a transition of executive board members in student organizations, but we want to help you build on your success year after year and grow the organization and not feel like you're starting all over again every single year. Number 4 is the Office of Student Life Communication. So there's a few different ways that our office communicates to our student organizations, and we just want to clarify those with you. And number 5 are the promotional opportunities. So there's a lot of different ways of promoting on campus, and we just want to help you walk through those options. Number 6 is an SVSU Engage walkthrough. So we'll show you what it looks like to be an executive board member of a student organization, how to reserve rooms, how to update your roster, how to re-register the organization, all that sort of stuff. And number 7 is managing your money. So we're going to be talking about your agency account and different ways to spend your money. The first key to success for your organization is to determine your destination for your organization. In other words, what does your organization want to accomplish? Here is a list of some examples of what your organization can adopt for its purpose. It could be one of those things, multiple, or a totally different list. It's up to you. Once you have the purpose for your organization decided by the whole executive board and vetted by the members of your organization, you can start developing SMART goals to accomplish that mission. Let me emphasize that this does need to be done as a whole group and as a team. One way to quickly lose members is to not have a shared vision of what the organization's purpose is. And it can have multiple, but leaders of the organization have a responsibility to consider what the members want to do. If you do not agree with the executive board and the General Assembly, you need to have a conversation. Conversations go both ways. The leaders need to be willing to listen to the members. We recommend setting SMART goals for the organization as a team. SMART is the abbreviation of specific, measurable, achievable, result-focused, and time-bound. A common question I am asked is, what length of time can SMART goals be set for? And I encourage student organizations to set goals for any amount of time. Do not feel limited just by your term as an executive board member. You can set a goal for the week, the month, the semester, year, or multiple years. Don't feel limited just by your term as an executive board member. And Who should be included in developing the SMART goals? Just to reemphasize, all members should be included in the development of the goals. It helps members feel included in the direction of the organization and feel like they're part of making it become reality. So highly encourage to include all members in the development of the SMART goals. Number 2, utilize your resources. So here are the 5 different resources we encourage RSOs to utilize. The first one being your advisor. Your advisor can be a great guide, but only if you use it. I often hear from advisors that they do not hear enough from their organizations and are just waiting for an invitation to attend meetings. So I encourage you guys to have a very positive relationship and communicate often with your advisor. The next one is the RSO transitional binder. This includes a lot of how to run a student organization at SVSU. I'll be covering that more in depth in just a moment. The RSO handbook, which is the rules and policies set by the university and the state of Michigan. Again, I'll be covering that in just a moment. SVSU Engage, this is the room reservations and promoting events on campus, file sharing, creating your own forums, having an active roster of your members, and publishing news articles. I'll be doing a walkthrough of SVSU Engage. Student life staff, if you still have questions and you don't know where to start, just ask us. I genuinely want to meet every RSO and personally assist you with your goals. I want to hear about your difficulties that you're facing. I want to figure out solutions for you. Here's the link to schedule a virtual meeting with me. Please keep it to normal business hours, 8 a.m. to 4 o'clock, Monday through Friday, but I'm very flexible. I genuinely mean I do want to meet every student organization and get to know you guys and help you with your goals. Just a friendly reminder, if you are following along with the quiz, you should be on question 6, which asks, select all the resources your RSO is encouraged to use. Continuing on utilizing your resources, this is the transitional binder, and this is the how-tos of a student organization. This includes some general information, forms and contracts. This includes the RSO handbooks, the rules and policies, and also some optional documents that you can include in here are best practices for RSOs. So these are additional articles that I've written to help some of the more finite things with running a student organization, including how to run an effective meeting and how to keep an updated calendar, budgeting, that sort of stuff. The recommended documents to keep include your meeting minutes, your agenda, your receipts, event reservation information. All the history of your organization is kept in this binder. And I include you guys to fill it with as much information as you can. Even if you do not feel like it would be very useful information, let the next executive board that has this transitional binder make that decision of what to keep and what to throw away. You might be surprised to find what information is very useful for new members of your organization. You will find, if you're an executive board member for long enough, that you run into the same conversations every single year. For example, cards party of scheduling, who registered for us for a table, how long, who's going to be working it, do we have supplies at the table, how are we doing sign up? Stuff like that is stuff that RSOs talk about every single year. So this transitional binder can be a helpful way to look into the past, but also kind of look into the future as well. So it's a very useful tool and encourage all student organizations to utilize it. If you were not provided a transitional binder by your previous executive board, we have a document that you can download and start creating your own transitional binder and create that history for your organization. Next is the RSO handbook. This is the rules and policies of being a student organization. So this is a very useful tool if you have questions about important dates, contacts, the benefits of being a student organization, university services, and your responsibilities as an organization and during events. So when we reference the rules and policies of your organization, we're referring to things that are included in the handbook. We link this very often in the event reservation form, but this should also be included in the transitional binder. All students should be at least familiar of what this document contains. You don't have to be able to cite it directly and memorize the whole thing, but at least be familiar of what different topics we cover in the RSO handbook. Number 3, build on your success year after year. A big part of being a successful organization is planning ahead. Unfortunately for student organizations, you'll be transitioning some, most, or all your executive board members every year. In order for your organization to build and grow after every year, it is important to train the next executive board. If you feel like you were not trained for your position, use that as a motivator. Make sure when it comes your turn to train the next leader, you do a better training than what you were provided. I recommend the 2 weeks notice model. Just like in a professional setting, when you are leaving a job, you provide your employer with a 2 weeks notice of your last day. RSO should set up elections, very similar model. Provide at least 2 weeks of transition from the previous executive board to the new. For example, if your executive board elections are held on January 9th, do not have them take effect for 2 weeks, which would be January 23rd. During this transitional period, the newly elected executive board has the opportunity to shadow and ask questions of the previous executive boards. I encourage you guys, promise yourselves that you'll pass on this knowledge. You will train the next executive board members on everything you learned from your experience as an executive board. Again, set goals that extend your term as executive board members. The next executive board can choose to continue, alter, or completely change those plans. It's up to them, but set your organization up for success of building year after year and having these multi-year goals. Number 4 is student life communication. There are 3 different ways that the Office of Student Life communicates to student organizations. The first one is RSO Updates, which is a monthly newsletter sent via email that highlights some of the big things to be aware of for that month. The second one is SVSU Engage alerts. So there are alerts that are located on the home page. And number 3 is RSO support, which is the SVSU Engage page that is built as a resource for our student organizations. RSO Updates is a monthly newsletter highlighting the most important updates from the Office of Student Life. It is geared for our student organizations. In addition, if RSOs have anything they would like to share with other student organizations, we can include your message. For example, Battle of the Valleys and Relay for Life have been included in the past. This newsletter is sent out to RSOs based on your roster on SVSU Engage. The positions listed here are automatically added to the mailing list. There's also an elective sign-up list. So if you have a member that does not hold any of the positions listed here, they can also sign up for it. There's a button at the top of the newsletter, so an easy way for them to sign up is for you to just forward them a copy of the newsletter and they can sign themselves up. I highlight the new information in the new announcement section, and I include information that was sent out previously, but still relevant for this month in the reminders section. So when you get these emails, just open them up, check the new announcements header, and make sure you're up to date on the most important information for that month. The next way that the Office of Student Life communicates with our student organization is the alert system on SVSU Engage. So when you first open up SVSU Engage on the home page, you'll see these different yellow boxes that populate. These are different things that we're making sure that you are very much aware of for that month. We try not to utilize them too much because they're kind of an eyesore, but just when you log into Engage and you see these alerts pop up, make sure you are aware of these alerts. And the third way that the Office of Student Life communicates to RSOs is through RSO support. RSO support is a page that is set up as if it is a student organization, but it is a resource for our leaders of student organizations. It includes event reminders, files, forms, and news articles that are written to be helpful, such as frequently asked questions, how to check your agency account, and allocation information. Number 5, promotion opportunities. I am often asked by RSOs, what are all the different ways of promoting on campus? So I created a smart form that gives you all the different options and gives you additional information based on which options you select. It also includes the ways that you submit through the weekly event blast, as well as the Valley Nights pre-movie slideshow. The Office of Student Life oversees the top section of the promotional opportunities, while the Student Association manages potty postings and the Valley Vanguard has their own ads in their newspaper. So if you have any questions on the event blast, the postings around campus, or the chalking policy, the campus promotions form gives you additional information on those. But if you want to be included in the event blast or the Valley Nights pre-movie slideshow, it'll actually ask you questions, and that's how you submit for the event blast. The Office of Student Life is working on a new social media committee. So check your RSO updates for more information on how we can collaborate our social media platforms to advertise your events or your organization. Moving on to the SVSU Engage walkthrough. When you become an executive board member for your organization, you might notice that you have a few additional settings available to you. I will have some additional settings on top of that, so please ignore those for this demonstration. So to get to your RSO's Action Center, my way that I recommend is scrolling down to your different memberships and finding the organization that you want to change. I'll be using RSO support as an example. So if you click there, at the top right there, there'll be the gear that says Manage Organization. This option is only available if you are listed as an executive board member for that organization. So if you don't have those rights, you're not listed here as an officer, that's why. If you need to extend those rights, I'll show you how. So I click here, and it opens the RSO's Action Center. And I like to tease this page a little bit because there's not actually a lot of action happening here. But if you select here at the top left, this menu, it opens this window and it has all the action items listed here. So the first one is the roster. So within rosters, where you can change all the current members of your organization and change the privileges that they have. So for example, if I want to change Abby McMahon's privileges within RSO support, click the pencil right here, and I'm able to assign her any one of these different positions. And you might notice that your organization is vice president and treasurer and SVSU advisor, but this RSO room reservations point of contact and this RSO primary point of contact, these are custom positions that are created for this organization, and you could do the exact same thing up here at the managed positions. Within here, you can create positions custom for your organization. So if your RSO has different names for their officers or presidents or anything like that, you can update that up here. Moving on to pending. So these are invitations to students to join the organizations. Prospective are people that have requested to join your organization. So Samuel Johnson, for example, I'll go ahead and hit approve. And then terms and conditions. So if you want to set terms and conditions for joining your student organization, you can set that here as well. And up here at the top right is how you invite members. And here is a messaging tool to be able to message people within your organization and the primary point of contact. So currently for RSO support is listed as myself. Moving on to the About section. So the About is all the outward facing information for your organizations, the name, the description, your profile photo, contact information. And I don't actually recommend having this information, especially your address and all that sort of stuff, because that's going to be standard for all the student organizations. It's going to populate, it's not going to look great. Moving on, if you have any external websites that you want to refer members to, so a lot of organizations that are national chapters, you could do that here. And agency account number. So I'll mention later during the presentation of where you can find your agency account number, and this is where you'll be able to find it. Don't forget to hit the blue button to update all the information that you have input. Moving on to events. So this tab is a list of all the events that have been approved and how you create events. This will not display pending event reservations. In order to do that, you need to go to your account, submissions, events, and this is where all of your event submissions are visible. So if another member submits a request for, say, General Assembly meetings, only that student can view it while it's pending. Once it's approved, it'll be visible within here. But this is where you go to create an event. Moving on to news. So news articles are basically web pages for your organization's page. It's a great way to be able to share information with your current members and with the student body. So you might see here, these are all different news articles, and some of these might not actually be very familiar to you because they're actually not public. So you can actually share, you can post things that are only visible to current members. You can post things that are visible to all students, or you can have things not even published and visible at all. So I actually have a very useful article for this, news articles. It's a very powerful tool at your disposal to be able to use. So actually, here's a news article if you're interested in learning more about news articles. Gallery is uploading photos for your organization. And I'm not going to try to build it up to be more than it is. It's not a Twitter, it's not a Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. But it is good for your organization to have at least some photos of your organization. So when people view your page, they see at least a few happy smiley faces, something inviting, something that helps people understand what your organization is all about. Moving on to documents. So SVSU Engage supports file sharing and creating folders to be able to put those files into. So it's a very useful way to retain information from year after year. I know some organizations use Google Docs, which is great if that's what you want to utilize. But unfortunately, those permissions and those accesses can be lost over time, especially if the organization goes inactive for a period of time. And we do have some organizations that go away for a couple of years, and then we get a new group of students that are interested in continuing the organization. Dumbledore's Army is a great example of that has come and gone a few times. By utilizing SVSU Engage's file sharing, all those documents are saved within SVSU Engage and are not lost to new members that come along. So highly encourage you guys to utilize SVSU Engage for file sharing, even if you want to save your minutes or agendas or anything like that. It's a great way to be able to do that. Next is forms. Forms are similar to files, but it's something that a student would fill out and that information would then be sent to another student. So for example, the campus promotions form is a form that we use to get information from students that are interested in having their events listed in the event blast, for example. SVSU Engage also has a place for you to track service hours. So within this, a member of your organization can log service hours for your organization, and you can go in here and approve it. We actually use this as a way of measuring how many service hours are done each year. So at the end of the year, we download the total service hours, kind of look through them and make sure they're all current and accurate. But it is a very useful tool for you guys to be able to track service hours, but also for the university to be able to track how many service hours are being done by our student organizations as well. Number 6, managing your money. First, we're going to cover what are agency accounts, how to update access, how to find your agency account number, and how to view your account online. First, agency accounts are sort of like bank accounts with the university. It is a secure location that will keep your money safe, but you do not earn interest on your accounts, and also you cannot withdraw cash as easily as a bank would normally allow. We do recommend you use your agency accounts instead of opening a separate bank account with, say, Independent Bank, because we will not know who has access to your separate bank account. If money goes missing, I'm very limited on what I can do to help you track that money compared to the agency account. So we highly encourage you to utilize your agency accounts. The only two people that will have access to your agency account and be able to view the accounts online and sign off money to be spent is the account manager, which is the student treasurer, and the account supervisor, who is the SVSU advisor. In order to change these roles, you must re-register the organization. Changing the treasurer role on SVSU Engage's roster does not alert me or give me all the information I need to be able to change that. So please note, the process does take some time to complete, a week or possibly multiple weeks. So do not assume that if you submit it overnight, that'll be changed by the morning. If you cannot find your agency account number, it is located in your RSO's About page in your RSO's Action Center on SVSU Engage. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the About page, it should be listed there. To view the account online, the account manager or the account supervisor can view it by selecting the Employees tab, select Budget and Purchasing, and selecting Budget Selection. Here's an example for funds is the 29. And for this example, I'm using 810123 in the department section. You can also select the fiscal year if you want to view previous account history. Check requisition form. The first way that I'm going to cover on how to spend money out of your agency account is a check requisition form. This form is essentially a request for your check to be written on behalf of your organization to someone else or a business. Some important notes that I have to hit. The money does come from your agency account, so make sure you have money in it before issuing the check. And this form requires an invoice or receipt to be issued. And it requires the signatures from the account manager and account supervisor, your SVSU advisor. This form is most commonly used to reimburse members that have used their own money for the organization. For example, if you are having an event and need to purchase table covers, a member can use their own money to make the purchase, and your RSO can follow up with that member and reimburse them for their money. Another way of spending money from your agency account is a purchase requisition form. It is very similar to a check requisition. Instead, this is a request to make a purchase on behalf of your organization's behalf. Again, the money comes from your agency account, so make sure you have money in your account before issuing. This form requires a clear description of what you would like to purchase. An invoice or an example helps. And it requires signatures from your account manager and account supervisor. Most commonly, this is used to purchase t-shirts. SVSU has a great deal with the local screen printer, Saginaw Knitting Mills, commonly referred to as SKM. The university orders so many t-shirts that the university has a bulk discount with SKM. So before you go online and purchase custom t-shirts, make sure the price is competitive with what's already offered to you through SKM. One last reminder, just so everybody knows, RSO Leadership Orientation 22 will be taking place September 6, 2022. The reason I mention it now is every year I have some students, some RSOs that missed orientation and claim their organization was never told. So I'm telling you now, a year from today, I don't know if it will actually be virtual, but there will be a mandatory orientation next year. It always takes place the day after Labor Day. So mark your calendars, mandatory orientation, Tuesday, September 6, 2022. Thank you for your time. I hope this was very useful for you. If you have any questions or comments, please write them in the chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube at a later date, email me at Tony Cianciolo. Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you, Tony, for that housing presentation. That was wonderful. Great. I love it. Jason, do you want to talk about the risk management meeting? Yep.
Yeah, just a quick note for any of those who are in fraternity and sorority life leadership, presidents, hopefully. We have a risk management meeting after this. We still have to go through Engage and everything, so there's still more to this, but we forgot to say that in the beginning, that all fraternity and sorority life leaders stay on, because we've got about a 20-minute risk management meeting that we'll need to have. Thanks, Tony.
Yep. And a quick note for y'all too. I do not expect this to go a full 2 hours. So do expect to be out a little bit earlier than that. That was just in case we ran into some very serious technical issues. But one thing I do want to share with you all is in this, so I'll start from the beginning in case you weren't paying attention. RSO support, as I mentioned during the presentation, very useful resource for our leaders. But if you do the view all, and if you scroll through here, there's an article titled allocations. So it's more information about how to apply for allocations. I was afraid to pull this up during the presentation in case I'd mess it up. So allocation forms. So these are all different organizations that provide funding for student organizations based on what they want to do. So for example, Program Board at Valley Knights are very event-oriented event planners. So if you have an event that you want to share with students and you just don't know how to be able to pay for that type of event, Program Board at Valley Knights is a great example of a way that you can get funding for your student organization to put on events. So there's that. I'm actually going to pitch it now to a recording of Kathleen from about a week ago. Unfortunately, she's not feeling very well right now. So it's a good thing that we did a little recording.
Greetings, my name is.
Did that. So I'll now move the share over to there. And reminder, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat.
With Kathleen Shintaka-Kubzak, I'm the Administrative Secretary in Student Life. I am in charge of processing the Engage request that you submit. I'm also the advisor for FEM, Female Empowerment and Multicultural Education. I'm also the Support Staff Association president here on campus. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that, please feel free to contact me. I'm here to present how to fill out an event request form. So here we are at the start of the SVSU Engage homepage. I'm going to go into one of the memberships that I am involved with. Okay, let's get ready and create an event. I'm going to click Manage Organization. Going to click over here on this hamburger. Click Events. And over here in the right-hand corner, if you have admission permissions, you will be able to click this button and actually view it and create an event. If you do not, then you need to talk to your president of your organization and the permissions need to be corrected. So now we're in the beginning of the registration form here. You're going to type your event. I'm just going to write test. Over here, you pick a theme, whatever kind of program it's going to be. Here in the description, you want to tell everything, what is your event about? How are you going to get, this is how you're going to get people at your event, what the description. Do not put in how many tables you need, any chairs or any information that does not pertain to your description. It's very helpful. Here you can add in additional organizations if you're co-hosting an event with. You can also drop up here, let's go back to description. You can drop in links or anything like to your Facebook or, you know, videos or anything. You can put that all right here. Here's where you're going to put in your start date, what time, and end time. Click on location. Here's where you'll put where your event is going to be. The address, Saginaw Valley. You can click to show the map or not. Here, right here, add another event will help if, say, this was a meeting and not just a one-time event that was going to happen on September 14th. If you had additional dates, they can be added here, but that information will populate. Everything that we put in will populate. So see the location popped up here. Say if I was to choose another date. Moving on here, if it's public and any student, any SVSU student is able to attend or welcome to attend, you'll want to keep it on the public. If it's a closed meeting and is only for organizations only, I know that some of the fraternity, sorority meetings are executive board members only. You want to click this so that only those people see the event. But if it's public, click public and everybody can see it. Here's where you can pick event categories. And select perks. We all know that free stuff usually gets people at your events. Okay, here is the RSVP section. We don't require you to RSVP, and not everybody uses this, but you can to RSVP so that you can limit your guests, so you only have space for so many. Or it can be open to anyone. And then there's RSV questions that could be included or added. Moving on to the post feedback, this is, you can choose if you want to have feedback after your event. You want to find out how it went, how you can make it better, what was great about it, what were the flaws about it that could be fixed so that you can have a better event. That's what this event feedback button is for. All right, uploading a photo here, your event cover. This is going to help entice people to come to your event. It is important. It should be the flyer of your event. It should be something that's going to bring people to your event, because that is what is going to be seen on the Engage page. It can be, Google an event and it could be placed on here. If you don't have a flyer or can't think of anything, maybe it can be your RSO logo. If you do not put anything here, it's just going, Engage is going to generate just a basic image, and that's going to be like all the other images for any other RSO that has not uploaded an image for their event. So it is very helpful to have something that's eye-catching, something that's going to pull people in and be interested in attending your event. Okay, now that we've finished up the Engage basic questions on the form, we're moving into the SVSU required questions. And here we're going to point out some of the important things you should know that are in the handbook, but we do encourage you to go and click and read through the handbook so that you are aware of the policies and procedures here on campus. I don't think I need to read through all of these, but you will read through them and click and agree that you will follow them. Down here is the COVID-19 guidelines, and we need to let you know that these are ever changing. As of right now, an advisor is not required to be present, but as we know, daily things change. So always keep it updated with the RSO updates. We will definitely let you know as soon as we know when things change. You will need to read through the guidelines. Type of request. This is where you will, if you're doing an information table, a meeting in a classroom, you want a meeting in a conference room that isn't in a classroom, performance room for dancing or singing, running, walking, race, bonfire. Bonfire includes UP and conference and event center and campus facilities, special event. And then item for your calendar is something you can, if maybe your event is off campus at a different location and you just want it pushed out to your group, that's what you would pick, you would choose here. We're going to go with special event because that's the one that would you'd need more assistance with. Be present here. If you click yes, the alumni office will be triggered and made aware that you're going to have an event that an alumni person is going to speak at. If you're going to show a film, usually if it's a film and you're going to show it to a large group of people, there's copyright permissions that you need. So if you were going to do something like that, you should contact Student Life and talk to somebody. Your estimated head count that will help with securing a space or location that is going to work for you, and your RSO agency account. Okay, we're here, these questions here populated because we did the special event. We chose a special event. We checked that button. So this is the type of room that, you know, how do you want it set up? What are you looking for? Theater seating depends on what kind of event you're having. You know, do you need rectangle tables? Do you want round tables? This is where you will do your setup. Some additional items for your event. Lectern, coat racks, stage. Certain rooms can only allow for the stage, and pretty much that's TSAR or outside. How many chairs? How many people are going to be at your event? 25. Okay, here in the here is where you will upload your file. We do have the layout plans for the TSAR, the programming room, and the rotunda. You can download these and then manipulate the tables and chairs to how you want that set up, and then upload the file here so that it can be distributed to campus facilities. Will you need a microphone? Yes or no? There are 2 available in the TSAR that can be checked out with your student ID. Is there going to be contracted services? Are you going to have a DJ? Is there somebody performing? Is there somebody that you are paying that's going to be here on campus? If that is true, then you would need to fill out a boilerplate and get contracts signed and approved. When it comes to this part, you can always contact Student Life and we will help you walk through what the boiler contract means and what signatures you need for your event. Do you plan on having food at your event? Food provided by any organization other than the SVSU dining services may only be served in the TSAR, the wedge lounges in the Unity Room, conference room, and programming rooms. SVSU catering is a service, but there is a charge. Okay, these are the next steps. Once you submit the event request, it will be pending until your advisor approves. So I would suggest that once you hit that button, it has been submitted, maybe email your advisor and let them know, hey, I just submitted the request and your approval is needed, because we will not process that request until the advisor has approved. Once the advisor is approved, we will process it through R25 Live, and you will receive a confirmation. Once you receive a confirmation from 25 Live with the location, you're good to go. Events not approved by the advisor will just sit there. So we do put questions in the conversation piece. We'll let you know that it has not been approved or has not been processed because we are waiting for the advisor to approve before we move forward. We ask you to please review the RSO handbook. If you're requesting to use a wedge lounge, any of the community centers, that is a separate form and can be provided to you by Student Life or Residential Life. All right, so once you've completed your submission, to check on it and see if it's pending still, then you will go up here to your initial, go to submissions, and then to events. So my test is here. Okay, so here's what your approved submission will look like. If it's approved, you will see a green thumb over here. If it's denied, then the thumb will be down. And over here is where we look at the advisor thumb up to go ahead and approve. Here's all the information that will be generated. A good description, a nice event image. Time and location. Your event options, the type of request. Room setup, food service, and here's the discussion piece that we were talking about that you could put a comment in if you have any questions, or if you requested a room that is not available, we will put a message in here letting you know that that room is not available and possibly giving you another option for a room, waiting for your approval that it's okay to move forward with the location that we suggested. Okay, just so that you know, once you submit your request, there are certain rooms that Student Life has permission to automatically approve. If there are spaces on campus that Student Life does not have those permissions for, the request goes to a conference and event coordinator and they approve and process the request. And you will then receive confirmation directly from the conference center. Whatever is on that confirmation is the location that you have been approved for. Sometimes we go ahead and approve the event in Engage, but we'll have to go in and change that location if it wasn't available to match the R25 request. I also want to point out that sometimes you will get a code that like this, the 2021-ACFTLM. There'll be just different letters, but that is the reference code for the event request that has been submitted into R25 on your behalf. So if you go to the submissions and look and see that it's still pending, that reference number can be used to talk with Conference and Event Center to see if that location has been approved yet. And that's it for event request submissions. Always feel free to come to the Student Life and ask us any questions. We are here to help. We are all cross-trained on how to navigate SVSU Engage.
All right. Thank you, Kathleen. Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, she wasn't feeling very well today, but we did have her record her presentation. So it worked out pretty well that way. Lots of questions in chat. Keep them coming. I want to answer all of your questions. One question that I saw, and now it's gone, 25 Live. So yes, you can look on 25 Live and see which rooms are currently at that moment available. Just because you looked at that moment, you saw it was available, and then you hit submit for your event, it does not mean that you'll automatically have that room. There could be other requests currently in process for that same space that you're looking at. And also keep in mind, just because it's available doesn't mean that there's adequate staffing to be able to turn the room around for what you need as well. So, and also there's like the tear down, the setup. So if you're like, oh man, the TSAR is open for this 1 hour gap between these two events, could we get in there and have our 2 hour event? Like, no, there's not gonna be adequate enough time to be able to tear down the previous event, set up for the next one, and so on and so forth. So just because it's available does not mean it's a guarantee that you'll be able to have the your event.
I can take this next one,
Yep.
Tony.
Yep.
Nope, the limitations on indoors are by capacity of the room currently. So it's not, if it's, you know, what is it? It's 50 people in the program room, I think. So it's 50 people in the program room right now. Now, if there was a change, my feeling that I've been getting is that they'd go 50% capacity in rooms and then go down from there, which would be better than just 10 people, because we could use our larger rooms like the TSAR and such for bigger capacity. So right now, no limitations on the indoor gatherings, as long as you wear those masks. Always wear those masks. But if it changes, we'll let you know.
Yep. And the link for 25 Live, you could always just do a Google search, 25 Live SVSU. But the link is also included in the event reservation form. So once you get to the SVSU portion, you put in all those basic details, the event image, RSVP, stuff like that. Once you get to the SVSU oriented stuff, the link is included right in there in the event form. So, yeah. Let's see here. 25 Live. Yes, you do get an email. Whoever requested the space. So just because you're the president, you're not always necessarily included in all the communication. Whoever requested the space will get a notification. Yep. Let's see here. Anything else? There's something else that I want to show off before. Oh, very exciting news for the room reservation portion. So we didn't want to include this just because it's not quite live yet. We worked really hard to have it live before the room reservations open up, but unfortunately contracting processes and stuff take a little bit longer than we hoped. But we will have a new room reservation process, and not new, but it will be updated. So 25 Live and SVSU Engage talk with one another. So when you put in a location on SVSU Engage, it'll actually populate with all the SVSU locations. So you'll be able to see directly on SVSU Engage what's available in 25 Live. And you'll even be able to filter through the rooms to be able to see like, hey, we need a room that has this much capacity, that has a projector, that's a tiered classroom, stuff like that. So those two will be marriaged together, and hopefully the room process will be a lot faster, especially for meetings that don't require any setup. That process should be really quick and easy in the future. We will still require your advisor to be confirming every reservation. So it's not like you can reserve it at your 10 o'clock Monday night meetings, but it will be much faster than the current process is.
And just staying on that, Abby had just mentioned, will your faculty need to be able to notified that there is an event? They automatically get notified when you put an event in SVSU Engage. Your advisor gets it, and we do not process it until your advisor says thumbs up on it. So they do get something. And then Tony, there's another question here on cards party grab and goes.
Yeah, so on the form, it states when I need it by, and it's the first 50 organizations to register. So I doubt that's filled up already, but let me refresh this page. Yeah, I don't have 50 yet, but I do have quite a few. So that option of would your organization like to table, and the only option it's currently is yes. Once all those yeses are taken up, or the only thing we'll allow is organizations to grab and go. All the tabling options will be taken. Let's see here. And we did run into some issues with some organizations. Their advisors weren't automatically being requested to approve events. Is because when this RSO re-registered, they accidentally removed their advisor. So the advisor wasn't automatically being added. We were able to resolve that and get those advisors re-added. President's Courtyard, yes. If you are having an event in the President's Courtyard, it is something that will require a reservation, correct? Typically it's open and available, but if you're having an official event, it's in your best interest to reserve it, because you can't just walk into a space and be like, hey, we're a club, we're taking over this space here, this is ours now. And if there's a group of residential students out there playing football or what have you, you really don't have the right to be able to kick them out of the space. Let's see here. All right, Jason, do you want to move over to yours? So I'll stay in the chat. Jason will move on forward with the risk management portion of the training. Totally optional for our regular students.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, fraternities and sororities will need to stay on. Everybody else, you can leave at this point, unless you want to learn about risk management, hazing, alcohol, and diversity inclusion. Risk management, quick meeting. So as everybody pops off here, I'll change over to my PowerPoint. Thank you, everybody who's leaving.
Yeah, let me quickly clarify, I'm seeing a lot of the confirmations coming through for RSOs confirming you do have to get 100%. Just so we're clear on that, you can retake it as many times as you need, but if a student submits multiple submissions for multiple different RSOs, I'm just going to delete all your responses. We want as many students to take this quiz as possible, so it's a very easy process for all of our student organizations. So I'm seeing some silly answers not being answered correctly. So there are some things hidden in there. So like to complete a check requisition, check all that you need, and a handshake from Jason is not one of the requirements. And for a purchase requisition, a high five from myself is also not required. Appreciated. I mean, once we're out of this whole COVID and wash your hands and everything, but handshakes and high fives all around, but not required. All right. So keep going through it. Make sure you get 100% on your quiz, and that'll be attendance for your organization. Thanks, everyone.
All right, Tony, I'm going to switch over to the PowerPoint. Tell me when you can see it.
I can see it.
You can see it?
Yep.
All right. So for our fraternity and sorority life leaders, this is going to be a bit of a quick meeting, but I want to make sure that we do this risk management piece, which will be the emphasis of this semester. I'm going to talk about hazing, alcohol, and then diversity inclusion. So first off, I did want to say, presidents, please set up meetings with me. I'll show this at the end too. You can hit that QR code, and this is through Outlook. You can actually schedule your meeting with me. I want to meet with all presidents at least once a month. I'll give you September to set yours up, put it in there, and then I got to put the chat back up. Sorry, I didn't see that was gone. So if anybody asks anything, go ahead and click on this and set up a meeting with me that works every month. It would be nice if it's repeating. So if you know that you don't have any class on Thursday afternoon, go ahead and put it in on Thursday afternoon. That way the next month you should be open too. Like I said, I'll show this at the end too, so you can see it then. All right. Oops, my slide's not moving. There we go. This is hazing, a good definition made by the Michigan Penal Code. The pieces I want to make sure you understand that it endangers the physical health and safety of an individual, and does done for the purpose of pledging or being initiated into an affiliated or something of that nature. So this is straight from the Penal Code, but then we're going to go a little deeper into that as well. Here, let's see. There we go. Did I go? Yeah. So here's the Michigan hazing law. I like to point out, like, you should know, but to let your members know that it is a Michigan law. This is not just a university thing. Of course, you can be put through judicial system at the SVSU for conduct, the Office of Conduct here, whether it be your RSO, your fraternity or sorority, or an individual can go through it here at SVSU. But you can also go through the Michigan hazing law, which I always like to point out the lightest thing, if found, is a 93-day in jail or a fine of $100,000, or both for that matter. And then it just goes up from there depending on the severity of that. So very serious business. It's important to let your members know that it's against the state law. SVSU has an anti-hazing policy. This is in the Student Code of Conduct. You can find it there, but I just like to let you know that it does exist and it is there. Includes, physical, mental, all that type of stuff, type of damage that could be done and that would be accepted as hazing. All right, so hazing. There's subtle, harassment, and then violent. So first, let's go with subtle type of things is sleep deprivation. required to carry a certain item. That's as simple as that, but it is when you ask them to do something in place of. Now I say people are like, well, how can we make them learn our values and such? That's fine. That's learning, that's growing, but you can't tie the values to, so say you have to know your values by tomorrow or else type of a thing, okay? That's where it becomes, but certainly learning about your organization, maybe your philanthropy, all that stuff is perfectly fine. You cannot attach something to it. Harassment, hazing side of things, so screaming and yelling at somebody, having them do chores for you, confinement, another one, you know, things like not talking to their friends, that type of stuff is still hazing. If you think that you're doing something where you're putting them in a period of time when they're really just focusing on the organization and they're not supposed to talk to their family or friends, nope, that is wrong. That is hazing. Looking, you know, wearing something that's embarrassing or something like that again too, that's hazing. The last one here is the violent hazing. So this is obviously way out of bounds, way out of bounds. All hazing is bad, but this should never even occur, where you're hurting somebody, requiring them to do something like a public nudity or something, pushing, shoving, physical contact, forced consumption of alcohol. Absolutely, that is hazing. Paddling. No, I know that a lot of our Greek organizations still have the paddle that would be passed along, but the actual paddling or hitting, those types of things are absolutely hazing. Branding as well, labeling, shaving, hair, all that type of stuff is physical hazing, so not allowed. All right, so that's the piece on hazing. I'll talk a little bit more of it at the end. Alcohol, policies concerning alcohol, members of the university community. That's what I want you to realize. By you running a fraternity or sorority on campus, you are members of the SVSU community. So when you have a party as a sorority or fraternity, or if you have 4 or 5, and I hear things like that, you know, that people are going to the XYZ fraternity party tonight, officially, unofficially, you are responsible because you're gathering, people see it as that, you are representing that organization, and you need to be making sure that there's no underage drinking, no excessive drinking, that there's no illegal drugs. All those types of things are things that can get you in trouble with obviously the law, but also your standing here at the university. Off-campus activities, that's kind of what I was talking about there. Those functions are seen as an extension of your organization, even though they're supposed to be individually separate legally, and also the university sees ties to that, to your academic standing here at SVSU. So be very aware of hosting activities with alcohol, that you're putting your organization in jeopardy in that way too, if you're not following all of the laws. Students attending off-campus social functions sponsored or hosted by students of university-related organizations or individuals are subject to all applicable federal, state, local, and university regulations, and violations may result in disciplinary action. So this is straight from our code of conduct. So be aware that that does exist and that is there. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit more. And then the third thing for this piece is diversity at SVSU. This is from our Office of Diversity. This is sort of it's not their mission statement, but it's one of their pieces. It involves, diversity involves exploring differences in safe, positive, nurturing environments. And it's beyond just a simple like tolerance. It's embracing and celebrating each person's dimensions, accepting and appreciating and unique. These are all things that your organization should be deeply embedded in your organizations. There's nothing like having a great diversity in your group. You learn, you grow, you develop so much more into a richer person when you have a wide variety of people that are in your group and accepted in your group. In no way are you to be discriminating against somebody. when you're going through new recruitment and such. So diversity is something that's critically important when it comes to a really healthy, good group that you're going to have. So why did I focus on these three? I'm going to just go to this slide. This is going to be the focus of this semester. So when we meet one-on-one, presidents, when we meet, we'll talk about this. And I want to see that your membership is going through all three of these over the semester. We want to make sure that, and this could be, and you're going to have to check these boxes for me, that you have done something with your group on and we can offer it too. So I could come and do it as well too. But I know that some organizations do it through their national organization. And if you could show me that your members took the hazing training and did that, that will count. If your group did something through peer health education on alcohol, perfect. You can show me that and we can check that one off. And then diversity, equity, inclusion. We have a great department here. Dr. Garcia is amazing. He can help with presenting some of that, but also your national organization might have some really good programs or speakers or people who could speak on that topic too. So those are going to be the three main focuses of expectations for this coming semester, that you as presidents and leaders bring that to your organization, because they are the things that can get fraternities and sororities in some real trouble. And the fact of the matter is, man, fraternities and sororities are incredibly great for our students and people who are part of them. I always say, like, when somebody becomes part of a fraternity or sorority, they go through, learning the organization, then they share it to the next group that comes in. And then now they're in the leadership in the organization. You know what happens? They end up being the leaders of a lot of our RSOs on campus. So it truly, truly is a leadership model, a leadership program. And that's what we want to focus on, not the other pieces that are truly the pieces that are destroying the fraternity and sorority life experience across the nation. When groups embrace hazing or embrace excessive alcohol or are discriminatory, these are the things that will take down a fraternity or a sorority very, very quickly. So they're going to be the focus for this semester. So when you set up your meeting with me, we'll start there. Of course, I'll get to know you too. Somebody says, can we be emailed the PowerPoint? Absolutely. I can send that out too. I'll send it to all the presidents after the meeting for this PowerPoint. It was kind of simple, but I wanted to hit the main points of it, but I want you to go deeper with your membership so that they make sure that they have something specific on hazing, something on alcohol, and something on diversity, equity, inclusion. So quick, that's really the piece that I wanted to go into. Want to make sure that you get your meeting set up with me. I'll look at the chat real quick. I'm willing to hang out, and if somebody has a question, go ahead and throw it in there. But otherwise, you are all set. And like Tyler asked, I'll send this out as well too, so that you have it, and you can set up the meeting or whatever afterwards. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to leave this up, Tony, for now.
Sounds good.
I can't actually see how many people are left in though. There we go. Okay, so we have a couple more still in here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, I could stop the recording now too.
Yep. What time is it?
Oh,
an hour and a half. Look at that. They got a half hour of their life, of their day back. So.
Actually, you have control over the recording.
Okay, let me stop sharing because I think they've probably got this, and I'm going to email it out anyway. And then I can stop recording. I don't know where that is though. Let me see.
I was thinking we should have had this actually a different presentation. So if somebody fell asleep during this, they would have missed out on yours.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm seeing the record. I can see the record, but it's not letting me get it.
If you just no, I have